Hello, my name is John Stratton. I come to Maulden Baptist Church, and I've been invited to share my story about doesn't matter what goes wrong, there's still Jesus and God to look after me. And everything that happens in our lives, Jesus is there. I look on life as like a road which we walk along. And along that road, there's like signposts. And only after you've gone past the signposts, you realise it's God is showing you something. I think one of the earliest signposts I remember is, I'm using this as a prop. I was a teenager, I was a student, and as a young lad I made a list of the girls I'd like to go out with. I made a list of about 7 names. And the first one said, "No, John, because you don't earn enough." And I was crushed. The second one says, "But you don't have a car." And I was really depressed. And shortly after that, I made a phone call, misdialed, and I thought I was telling somebody off. Actually, I was very rude to a lady I never met before. I had to go and apologise. And this young lady in the photograph, how shall I put it? So I went to apologise, and it's our 50th wedding anniversary this year. I was a good Roman Catholic boy, she was a good Baptist girl, and yet it was God's plan we came together. Once we got married, life settled down, and I had the thing I call God's insurance policy. It goes like this. When I was 40, I planned to go to church once a month. When I was 50, I'll go twice a month. 60, once a week. And after that, I'll stick the odd ones in during the week as we're going along. So I thought this was a smart plan. So when I finally died, God will say, "Well, John, you were a slow starter, but welcome, you've arrived." So I thought I could make a plan. But then I found out you can't make plans, because Daniel, our son, he was just 18. He got a motorbike on the Friday night, and he was killed on the Saturday. I can't describe to you how your world collapses around you when things like this happen. It was such a shock. You know, everything you believed in actually gets broken. But looking back now, a lot of wonderful things came out of that awful situation. Firstly, the community here in our village of Maulden, they came round and cared for us and loved us. And these were people all from the church. And the following Sunday, I had this desperate need. I needed something. I did not know what I needed, but I needed something. And I went to church. And to get that love and support that people around me were showing me. And you know, it helped me a lot. That was a time when I first found out that there is a Jesus, that he does love us and does care for us, and how he will carry us through these awful times in our lives and be with us. The Jesus who gave us hope. And that's wonderful. The next road sign on my life, on my walk through life, came a couple of years later. And it was my sister Denise. Denise came into this house one day and said, "I'm on a sponsored diet." And look, and she swizzled her skirt around. She had lost so much weight. And it turned out it wasn't the diet, it was ovarian cancer. And we were with her, she lived, Denise and Tony and their 3 daughters, very young, lived in Dunstable. And Denise went downhill and nothing could be done to save her. So with Daniel, where I found Jesus and the compassion and love of people, I found something else from Denise, and it was this. She told me just before she died that when she gets to heaven and she'll see Daniel, she'll tell him how much we love him. And even now, 15 years on, I find it very difficult. My sister died with the absolute belief and trust in God, in Jesus, and that she'll go to join them. We had a couple of years gap. Then I had a phone call at work that my brother Bill had died. Well, actually, yes, he did die. He got 5 gallons of petrol and a box of matches, and he committed suicide. And that was an amazing shock. It just see a life just finished by the person's own hands. And it's very concerning because we're never aware that Bill had any difficulties, had any problems. He saw my brother-in-law 2 days earlier, and he was right and fine. He was cheerful, laughing. Yet underneath him, underneath the surface, and within him, there's something terrible happening. Something really, really terrible which he would share with nobody. And when we found out, nobody could help him. And I learned from that we've got to all love each other's and support each other's. We've got to care for each other's, not just within the family, but around. Because often under the surface, there is awful things in people's lives. Yet, we're here to help people. And we shouldn't always expect the people to come to us to ask for help. We should actually be aware, have a listening, caring heart, and reach out to people. Because sometimes a friendly word can change a person's life. So these are the 3 major signposts of many signposts in my life. The last family one, close family one, is Maggie. Maggie is blind, as you know, or many of you know, and she's recently lost a lot of her hearing. And yet at one time somebody said, Maggie, let's have a healing service for you. And she said, that's very kind, but God has allowed this to happen to me for a reason. And I'll use these disabilities to glorify God. You know, I have this for a purpose. I don't want it, but I shall use it to serve God. And I find that's very, very powerful. That's basically a potted version of how Jesus is so important in my life. He's carried me and Maggie through terrible disasters. He's been with us through the great joys of how we met and the children. And the constant thing in our lives is Jesus, how he loves us, how he cares for us, and how he carries us through all the disasters. And without Jesus in my life, I would not be here talking to you today. Thank you.